always looking out for a bargain, for something different. I was at a Glenrothes model rail show, and sitting on one of the stands was this. As soon as I went to look at it, the stall holder said, "Look, I don't have any information on it, don't have a tender, £5 and it's yours." I thought, what can I lose? Oh, hi there YouTubers, and welcome to another servicing video from Sortsites233. Although to be honest, I don't know if I'm servicing it or not, because I don't know if there's anything wrong or anything else about it. I'm looking for a manufacturer's name and I can't see anything. So let's see what we do know. It's the SNCF Railway, that's French. And if I get it in focus, you might see that it's a class 141R. The running number seems to be 1288, and it's a 282 steam locomotive. No tender, but otherwise in pretty good condition. So I did some research online to see if I can find anything about this, and there are two manufacturers that make this type of locomotive. One is UF and the other is Lima. As I said, no manufacturer's name visible, as far as I can see. Oh, and as soon as I said there's no manufacturer's name visible, I just noticed under the trailing bogie there's a little stamp, and in it it says Lima, Italy. Can I get it down up that way? No. There we go. Okay, manual manipulation, not very good. Anyway, in there is Lima. So in that case, I do have a model number and I know now what I'm looking at. So next thing I'm going to do is just a quick visual inspection. I noticed that along here there is just the slightest gap between the upper body and the lower undercarriage. So I don't know if it's been dropped or whether somebody's opened it up already, but there's no gap on this side, so that makes me think that it's partly unclipped. So let's see if we can get it on test and get some idea if it runs or not. So on my little test track, I've got set up the power supply, and if I just wind it up, there's not much happening there, don't sense anything. I noticed that there's a pin which attaches to the tender, so I'm wondering if maybe it's half pick up the tender, half picking the locomotive. So I'm connecting this fly lead, try it onto one track, nothing happening, try it onto the other track, and still nothing happening. So it actually looks pretty dead. Examining it underneath, I noticed under the front pony there is a screw, so I'm going to attack that first of all and see if that will allow access to the rest of the mechanism. The screw falls out and the chassis now starts to dismantle, and trying to be careful, you don't want to force any of this sort of thing. There's probably a clip somewhere. slide forward maybe. Seems to be anchored about there, so I'm going to see if that will unscrew. With some tentative exploration, I have found that this tender pin does have a nut fitting on it, but this long shaft makes it difficult to fit a box spanner on it, so I'm just very carefully twisting it with pliers. It's coming free-ish, so a couple of tons hopefully. Sorry if I lose the camera. So that's out it comes. Out it comes. Right. So is this going to help? It certainly looks like it. And there we have separation of chassis and body. And we have the familiar Lima ring-field motor. Now, I think I'll get my power probe and apply voltage directly across the brushes. Well, set the life in the motor, gave a little kick, so I'm not going to stress it too much. I'll just get it stripped down. Oops, that's my meter, and get that cleaned and hopefully get it running. Just notice a little bit of corrosion here. Of course, you never know how long these things have been sitting idle. They could have gone faulty a long time ago and just been left to rot. Okay, let's see if we can unrot it and get it up running. So before I remove the motor, I'm just going to check and see where the pickups are coming from. Two leads, one to this pole, one to this pole. This wire here is the one that feeds down to this contact, which is from the tender. So it looks as if the tender provides one pickup to the motor. Tracing the other lead here, there is a stud in the centre, and I'm presuming that that attaches to a plate which will connect to the axles. And if I look, it looks as if one end is insulated. Yeah, one hub is non-insulated, and this hub here is insulated. So this will be the pickup side for that connection there. That's one observation there. Also, I was checking out the casing, and this is the weight. Let me just pull out a little. This is the weight, but if you look at the curve here, take it out. In fact, there's a flat side, so this should have been in this way. Try and line it up. There we go. It should sat nice and flush. I noticed there's some Mazak rot in here, so I'll have to file that down a bit. Fresh glue attached to the these smoke deflectors, of course it is. And one final little thing, just a small one, and that is this handrail. There's a little loop has broken, so the handrail is not fixed. So I'm thinking that if I took one of these other handrails out and put it in there, and that one in there would just support the handrail, and that wouldn't look too bad. Right, okay, what I'm going to try and do is get the motor running So now I can start to dismantle. Lift the springs up, or the bushes up, and remove the spring. The brush comes out. Doesn't look too bad for the number of years it's been running. And the same on this side. Spring out. And the brush out. So they've come out all right. Take these two screws out here. So it looks like a pretty typical Lima pancake motor. So just check, screws come out are the same length. Yep. And hopefully this should just lift off. This off. And there is the armature. Doesn't look too bad. Obviously carbonized there. The gaps look kind of black. Will this extract? Out it comes. Give that a clean up, and that exposes or allows us to concentrate on the idler gears. This I think is a 3mm nut head. Seems to work. Out it comes. Idler off. And the mechanism runs extremely freely when it's disengaged from the motor assembly. So that's good, no trouble there, but a clean lubrication. Glenrothes, metal polish, kitchen roll, fibre pen, cocktail stick. Shall we give it a try? And that's better. And reverse direction. You know what I think it was? I think when I cleaned it, that perhaps there was still a kind of skin of metal polish on the armature. So I had to manually turn the armature a few times. Basically I had to scrape it away against the brushes, and now you can see it's running pretty freely. Remember, I've disconnected this idler wheel here, so I'm not engaging with the mechanism. But now I think it's time to put that to rights. This idler gear is held on by this 3mm nut head, so I'm just going to give that a little tighten. Feel it taut. There we go. And the mechanism should start to turn. Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to see if I can get my locomotive to run. And there we go. Right. And I shall set that up on a rolling road and apply power and see how it looks. I've come across another little problem, and that is when it's on the track and I apply the pole from the track to bypass this connection here, I still don't get running. However, if I attach there and then take another connection from here to the power, it should something has gone wrong. Yeah, connect it to the power, it's fine. But it's not picking up from the track. So I then decided to do continuity tests from here to the track. And I don't get any. From here to here is okay, so it should be continuity. Check again, that's continuity there. But from here to either rail or track, we're losing a connection somewhere in here. I'll have to remove this plate, which seems to be attached through this screw and this screw here. Okay, let's see if that helps us in any way. With this screw attached to the front pony, there's also seems to be a spring, so let me be careful about that. Out there. Yep, there's the spring, which I just saw underneath. This one. And let's see what this reveals. And it might just be a bit of corrosion. Okay, I'll need to test this is the axle going to this hub, so it should be continuous from there. Contact plate, where does that get connected to? That's what I need to try and find out. Is that spring again? It must be that spring. Okay, let me investigate that a wee bit further. So the situation as I found is this. These rooms are connected to these hubs, to these axles, all four wheels. This connection in the motor feeds through this wire to that tab at the top, which is connected to this brass plate you just see underneath. The problem is there's a huge gap between the two, and the only thing which was in that gap was this thing, which for all the world looks like a block of Mazak or whatever, some kind of pewter compound. And this is about conductive as a block of wood. And yet it was the only thing physically in between these axles and that plate. I don't know how that worked. So what I'm going to do at this stage is I'm going to have a wee break and go for some lunch. Probably end up putting all this into a little box, leaving it to one side, investigate more. So this might be an opportune time to say thank you for watching, but I think this is the end of part 1, with the implication that hopefully there'll be a part 2. Keep your eyes open, and you never know. So meantime, all I can say is thanks for watching my total failure. If you have any information on this Lima class 141 and you know how to get the current from this axle to that pickup plate, I would be more than happy to hear from you. But for the time being, it's a mystery to me, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Take care everybody, thanks for watching, look after yourselves, look after other people, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.